Thank you all for being here this morning. This is the Fall 2020 IMUG conference, and our theme this year is Mission I Am Possible. Not impossible, but I Am Possible. And you have to admit that was a great play on words. I'm a big fan of those movies, but we're not talking about Hollywood theatrics today. We're talking about agency theatrics, things that we can do to improve our agency's performance, help us be sustainable in this crazy time that we're living in right now. So grab your coffee, and again, get your pamphlet so you can look at the schedule of events. And we're going to get this going in just a second.
All right. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. I hope the audio is clear and you guys are as excited as I am to get started here. When we started this whole IMUG thing earlier this year, we were all thinking through, we need to connect with our clients in a much more deeper way. And IMUG 1 was a revelation. It was the biggest success we could have imagined, and we did a phenomenal job. This team and everybody did a phenomenal job. So we could not have just sit on that and just enjoy the success. But what comes next is, hey, let's do the next one. So this was in the making. But on to the next slide. So start with why. So the intent was always to be intentional about what we are doing and find the purpose in what we are doing. And so the whole session, I wanted to, dive deeper into what InsuredMine did and why it did. And then we will dig deeper into the value it is trying to create. Going on to the next slide. So there is three things that mattered in this why question. Why the industry that we chose, which is insurance? Why the segment within this insurance segment was independent agent, and why the technology part? So all these three things, if you put together, as Don was talking about InsurTech, that today there is no insurance without tech. So, all these three things are so well connected. It was very obvious when we were looking into things to solve for. It was a very natural flow. The answer of this why, going to the next slide, was very obvious. There was tremendous opportunity in front of us, which was where InsuredMine felt that we have the keys that will unlock the universe that the agencies have not yet explored. And what does that mean? We have the keys. We have been a very, very diligent student of learning and understanding this ecosystem. And we always talk about, hey, people can always criticize. You have been in the space for last 4 and 5 years, and we have been doing this for 20, 30 years. So I always tell them, it is not the distance, but the speed that matters. At the speed that we have traveled this 5 years, it can take somebody even 50 years and they may not be able to get there. So this is not arrogance. This is our humility, and this is our commitment to say that we are identifying that galaxy, that universe for you guys, that we want you to walk with us. And that is what we are opening up to you guys. And we have just started that. So what does that opportunity look like to? And we are just starting to peel the layer, first layer of that onion. Going to the next slide, talking about the journey that we have thus begun. So we talk about customer journey, as you hear me all the time talking about, and the journey of that journey has just begun. It's not that we have uncovered everything about customer journey. It is just the first part of that first layer of that customer journey we have thus started. So it's important to connect those dots of what is this totality of customer journey that we think about, that we can say, okay, we have layer 1, what is layer 2 and layer 3. So once we start peeling this, we know what it is and what it is not. So going to the next slide, we just want to give you guys that perspective of what it is and what it is not. what it is it's multi-touch point, it's multi-channel, it's always on, hyper competitive, and customer focused. Comparatively, what it is not is, it's not today what we are doing. So when we or anybody, come out as those gurus on the topic and talk about customer journey and say, okay, we got this all figured out, they are talking about the first layer. We are talking about those automations. Automation is, just the first layer to me. We are talking about just product. That's another layer. We are talking about a limited time when we serve our clients, or we are talking about any communication with the client based on life event or any event.
The amount of business that agents are writing here in Florida, because we are not able to take rate that we need to take.
All right. So I just wanted to stop that thought for a moment and talk about in that customer journey, understanding what it is and what it is not, because that gives us a perspective of knowing what it is, and then how do we go full-fledged on that and go and build that experience. So when I say we have just embarked on that journey of understanding customer journey, and we have just probably, I think, phase 1 of the 10 phases, and 10 may, and by the time we reach 10, we know there is another 10 waiting for us. So we have just begun that journey, and this is what we have. So you all know InsuredMine is we call it, it's the technical leader in this space in insurance in what we do. We were able to create an ecosystem where several companies are copying what we do. There are several companies which actually came up in this space, knowing what we do and the opportunity that exists. So this is all great. I love competition because competition keeps us pushing us to those limits, because we want to be ahead of the competition. But having said that, I think we are just starting to scratch the surface. Going on to the next slide. As we say, we are starting to scratch the surface. So this is important. When we talk about what we have accomplished in customer journey, as I say, in phase 1. Phase 1 is all about the values we have realized. The values we have realized by doing the basic tech work of what the solutions we have provided. We are talking about these automations, or talking about this cross-sell, upsell. We are talking about, showing you data in a much more. You think we have accomplished everything that we have? The answer is no. This is just the beginning. This value is nothing compared to the value that we will be unleashing to you guys in the next 24 months to a 36 months period. What does that look like? And that is where I spend most of my time talking to you guys, trying to understand that value mining aspect. Where is that value sitting, and how do I open that up for you guys? We all talk about, we want to create this ecosystem where, we are talking about solutions like InsuredMine, and there is several such solutions coming up. One standard business model that we all operate called SaaS, software as a service. There is a monthly fee that you pay for the license, and we get all of this. I challenge you today to think about an alternative business revenue model down the line. And this is coming with sheer confidence of knowing the amount of value that lives in that value mining segment. So we will even go to a point a couple of years down the line. We are not there yet because there is a lot of work that needs to happen. And we need to replicate probably 2 or 3 Shubhams, as you guys know that. The value is in identifying value that you will create beyond what your current capabilities are. If solution like InsuredMine can unleash that additional value, we will say, okay, you pay nothing to get started with InsuredMine. And if we help you move that needle beyond what you could have by yourself, then you pay us. How about that? It will dramatically challenge the status quo of the current situation. And that's how forward-thinking InsuredMine is. I do not care about making money. We care about creating value. And if that value is created, everybody is better off and nobody will be worrying about sharing that. So that's just, that's where, my mind is always thinking, okay, what are we doing to unleash that value? Going on to the next slide, let's talk about what those 3 areas are in terms of the value, in that value mining aspect. And guys, feel free to throw in your questions. We'll take it probably at the end. If you can go to the next slide, please. So as I said, there is 3 areas that I want to focus on in terms of value mining. Number 1 is 5 minutes. So this is a concept that I talk recently very often about, 5 minutes before and after each step. So you have heard me talk about smoothing the process. So every step that InsuredMine is solving, we talk to the industry leaders, we talk to the large agency management systems and several of these guys, and we are like, I don't know if there is a better word, we are like a lab rat to many of them. They're curious to learn how we operate, how we think, how we productize something. And I'll give that away. As I say always, we are very curious. We are always listening to our clients at a decibel that nobody is willing to listen. And we are trying to take that feedback and use it in their current process, in all of your current process. We look at, if you are doing a renewal process, what have you done? What is your CSR or your producer doing 5 minutes before doing what you were doing? And how is that feeding into this current process? Understanding that connectors of input and output is a key in helping us identify how do we continue to smoothen that process. We solved one part, now that is continuously growing. And that is the key where I want to spend a lot of time, where we are not only making this process where you are jumping from one system to another, from another to third and fourth to fifth. So I'll give you an example. Early this year, while going through this study like we continuously do, and it's an iterative process, it's not that we allocate Q1 or Q4 to do this. Early this year, we were going through the same exercise, and we found at one point of your close and bind, you have to drop off of InsuredMine and then go to your e-signature platform or something and finish that up and then shoot that and then come back to InsuredMine. What does that mean? It breaks your process. Now you have to rekey a lot of data, redo a lot of information, and then reconnect back to InsuredMine. That's where the whole conversation started. Hey, can we build a solution that will seamlessly integrate? So that's where we put in our effort to build in an e-signature. Was the first iteration the best one? The answer is heck no. But it was not designed to be the best one. It was designed to solve the problem, to validate if it is actually solving the problem. Once we knew it was solving the problem, then we doubled down and we tripled down. And now the way we have fixed it, it's anybody's guess how agencies are using it to the best of their strength. That's the key of how we think and how we operate. Is other thing we always talk about when we are looking at building those seamless flow is fail fast. Why do I say about failing fast? Because we are not Nostradamus. We do not know the future. We do not know what will work, what will not work. So the best thing we can do is try and figure it out, learn from it. And if it is working, great, double down. But I also put enough emphasis on, hey, can I fail? Can I fail? Because the moment I know I failed, I can move on to the next thing. I'm not wasting a lot of time trying to just wait to pray, hey, we will pass on that event. So that allows us to be moving at this rapid pace of development and the rapid pace of success to bring solutions to you guys that is actually viable. Speaking of number 2, this is the big one. Now we are heading into a whole different space of predictive analytics, AI, ML, and big data. Why this will be important in the next 12 to 24 months. Now let's take an example of how InsuredMine will enable systems that will bring all of these in. So, we are very deep into the sales process. And that matters to us because we want to understand how agencies are winning a deal or what they can do to ensure that winnability is increased deal after deal, because there is a lot of learning from the previous deal that needs to be applied to the next deal. So that predictive analytics to tell me how I am going to win the next deal, or what data point will tell me that, hey, this is telling you the probability of winning this deal is 60%, or probability of winning this deal is 90%, or if you do these three things, the probability will increase. Gamification of that, bringing the predictive analytics will be a whole game changer when it comes to deal management. And we all know we thrive by our deals. So that's very important to think from that larger context of how the deal predictability will be changing. Second element, we talk about AI and ML. I was talking to one of the very known, thought leader in the insurtech space. They were saying, when we went to a couple of the conferences, including ITC and a couple of agency management systems, they were all talking about replicating data from SQL Server to this table or that table. Says, Raution, I was missing that beat of, are you guys still talking something which is 15 years old technology, 20 years old technology of SQL databases? When are we going to start talking about the AIs and the MLs? When are we going to start seeing those in the, I say, it is happening to an extent, not penetrated as deep as it needs to be. So how do InsuredMine look into this, and what are we looking to predict? So as I say, when we are starting to consider AI ML, the elements that we are looking at this point is look it from the deal perspective. What kind of sentiments do you understand about the communications coming in? See, there is so much of data that we are collating internally of what customers are providing. There is enough that we will be able to create where we can say exactly what is the next best action that an agent or a CSR needs to take in that case. And if we are able to accomplish that, it is much easier for them, So I always talk about the maturity of that journey as we were talking about. We talk about how we are today interacting with the system, and the system is doing what we are telling them to do. The next phase in the next 12 to 24 months is less about what we are telling the system to do. It will be a lot more about what the system is telling us what we should be doing. But how will that happen? When we enrich that system with a lot of contextual data that it understands my ecosystem well enough based on all the external data points and the variables that it is able to predict what I should be doing. And that is where we want to spend a lot of our energy building solutions for you guys. Third part is big data. Why big data is important? There has been a talk about in the last 5 years about big data, but it has barely penetrated in the insurance and especially in the independent agent space. There is so much of content out there, talking about companies like Zillow, talking about ZoomInfo, Hunter.io. There is so much of data out there. Are we able to bring, or NAIC code, all of this, are we doing enough to bring that data to enrich our data so we can be much more polished in what we need to provide to our client? And that is the next level of, and again, these things I'm talking about, probably other agencies will now start, or the systems in our space will start thinking, how do I apply? But that is my whole idea. I will be doing a lot, but I also want the entire ecosystem to be doing. So collectively, we are able to push the agenda of technology ahead. And it's not, there is enough in the space that, I just don't need to be the only one serving it. I'm happy to be that thought leader who is leading that and being accompanied by all my competitors. It's okay. There is enough to go around for all of us. So I am never about it's me or nobody. It's all about, collaboratively, can we improve the value that is being provided to the industry? So that to me are the three things in this number two about predictive analytics, AI, ML, and big data. Third part. So let me just quickly summarize if you remember what I was talking about. Number one was all about how we are bringing all of these pieces together, right? And number two is about predictive AI, ML. And the third part, going to the next slide, please, is about how do we collate all of this data together. So there is a transition. The transition is from customer journey to a customer experience and customer delight. How will that happen? That will happen where we are able to bring all of this data, AMS, carriers, all the communications, external data, other integrations, all of this are staying primarily in a lot of silos. Are we able to create that real-time data exchange where all of this are intertwined in a way that it just makes, because end of the day, it is all your data. It is all the data that you need to serve that insured in a better way. And if we are able to accomplish that, that is what allows us to win every time, right? And that's our goal, is to enable you guys to win every day. So these three things, as I said, understanding that customer flow, the 5 minutes before and after, understanding AI, ML in a bigger way, understanding the data of CRM with that real-time data exchange is where we see the future. So looking at this slide, a lot of people will start thinking, is InsuredMine becoming an AMS? It's $1 million question I get asked almost every second day. And I have an answer that I gave 4 years ago that I still give today. No, InsuredMine will never become an AMS. But the big question is, will AMS become InsuredMine? So what does that mean? Here's a key question to think through. Last 30 years have been dominated by AMS. And they did well. There was a strong product thinking in the product design and what was built. And that will continue to happen. But in the last 5 to 10 years, with Google, Amazon, all of these companies, they started the whole revolution of how people think today. It's no more product focused, it's more about customer focused. And now that's what I say, with that, CRM is here and it is going to stay. So the hypothesis that I declare today is it's not about the future. The last 30 years could have been for AMS, but I know for sure next 30 years it will be for a CRM. And that 3-letter word will transform itself into a CRM focus. So let me talk about why I believe in that hypothesis. See, the bigger key on that is understanding what InsuredMine or a customer focus journey is thinking in that space. Think about an ocean. An ocean stays the way it is, but it has waves. So waves will come and just sublime in that same ocean. So those customer will be in the totality as an ocean, but there will be products that he will buy or he will churn out of that, but it will survive over there. So think about in that larger context, and that's how we want to look at from a customer journey, which is existing before and after the product exists. And so that's why the viability, the legitimacy of a customer journey is way beyond than legitimacy of a journey of a policy lifecycle. And that's where we have been able to bring this whole thinking. So let me tie it back to what I said in the beginning was why we think we are taking you to a journey, to a galaxy, to that universe which is unknown, unexplored, is because we are peeling that onion of that customer journey that started at a basic level. Now we are going deeper and deeper with more and more data, with more and more analytics, with more and more AI and ML, and that will help you be way more efficient, way more predictive of your business, and be able to be more more excited of what you can do. The growth is coming with a much more powerful tools that you have. Going on to the next slide, please. So that's why I cannot be more excited and more optimistic than I am today about what we have been able to accomplish and where we are heading. Monserrat, can we have the next slide, please? So as I say, I believe the future is bright. Why? Because of it's not what we have accomplished, it's what we have started. I think the revolution has just started in terms of being able to see that future. And once we are able to see that future, it makes it way easier to be able to achieve it. So I will end my speaking by saying that, going to the next slide, I believe, as I said, the future is CRM. Why? Because your customer is your future, and if you believe in them, this is what you need to be successful. With that, thank you for your time. I hope this gives you a perspective of where InsuredMine is heading and where our thoughts are, where we want you to be led to. So I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any for next couple of minutes. Gary Miller has please restate your hypothesis. My hypothesis is very clear, Gary, as I mentioned. I believe that what got us here will not take us there, which means InsuredMine, a solution like InsuredMine, the CRM or a customer-focused solution is what is the call for tomorrow. And we have to continuously invest in our customer. So we need a system that will allow us to invest in our customer. And you need a system which is designed with customer focus, a customer journey, rather than a system which is designed for your product, because a product is a part of customer. As I said, customer exists before and after product. So that is the core of the whole hypothesis.